And the way shit happened was so fucked up in 1972 that the reason it happened was because one guy gave his word, but his word wasn't honored because some other two clowns hit two other guys from Little Valley. And that's pretty much how shit really fucking took off. And we were trying to make peace with everyone at that time, you know.
So we
Then
just
they
did a
make
spill
this
on that.
fucking they make this stupid fucking movie later on called American Me. The fuck is that about? Anyway, so it's just
So
you know
like, okay,
everybody on any side understands what the fuck I'm talking about.
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
So like I've been telling everybody, man. The man you're talking about should have never been touched, right?
Well, the two dudes that got hit should have never been touched. But by the guy giving his word, that's what ended up happening. Yeah, but no, he's of course not, man. And the reason I say that too, because I mean, we were in contact with him through some women, and those women in contact with us through other people. In other words, we always had contact with each other in one way, either on the tier, through correspondence, from one joint to another, even though you were supposed to be, this tip and they were that tip. But still, you know what? I'm going to tell you something, man. There were so many dudes involved that had there were certain wits about them and had a lot of political fucking savvy about them that we kept it, we kept it 100. You know what I mean? So that's just the way it was. I mean, way out. I mean, the shit ended up catching on fire. And when we hit them streets and they hit them streets, and I mean, they had been on the streets a lot longer than us, of course. But there's some terrible shit that happened, man. But I mean, structurally speaking, we all made we all made certain commitments, and we all made a lot of money, and everybody said, where'd all that money go? I said, ain't none of my business. I ain't got none of it. Shit.
They end up, that in American Me, how they say when so that dude Santana was supposed to be Cheyenne, when he said, man's got to do what a man's got to do. He did say that. I was 2 cells from there. He said that, but he said it to the cop. The cop told him, "Hey, you going out?" Because that was the beginning of the war. What had happened, bro. So a lot of people don't know this. They think they know, but they don't. What had happened was a guy named Pangas. His name was Santos Aranda. He was
Yeah.
from Maravilla. He was from Meloyo Maravilla.
He had to come
And
out too, right?
he was NF. And he was in Soledad Central. And he hated the Mexican mafia, right? He hated them. See, all these people think that the Mexican mafia is, whatever. They are who they are, fine, right? But he hated them, for whatever reason. And so he would be walking down the hallway in Soledad Central, and he would say, "Aquí mama la mafia mexicana, fuck, chinguen a su madre," all that, that bullshit, right? And they wanted to kill him, right? So what they did to him is they subpoenaed him to cheat, to go to the LA County Jail to testify, right? But what they did wrong was they subpoenaed his brother, Big Ernie, too. Now Ernie was not in the NF, but that was his brother. Remember that. And Ernie was probably maybe the baddest individual I ever met in the penitentiary. That motherfucker was bad, bro. I mean, from the shoulders, ooh, he could fuck up motherfucker 4 or 5 motherfuckers at one time. He was bad, right? He was a bad dude, man. So anyway, they came to Chino, and now during this time, Cheyenne had been talking to Crackers and Joker, and all the fellas that were there, right? Concerning the possible, creation of a peace treaty, right? So the NS said, okay, I guess that's what I heard later. I wasn't a part of that, but I heard about it. So anyway, when they got there, they were going to go to the yard, because they were on the the guiding center, and the guys from Maravilla, they didn't like the dudes from the mob, at that time, and so they had friction too, Ironically, there was 4 or 5 motherfuckers from Maravilla in the mob, but there was also 4 or 5 dudes from the Maravilla in the NF. You know what I mean? Anyway, so they told Pangas not to go to the yard because they were going to move on him. And he goes, man, fuck that shit. I'm going to the yard. And he goes, man, well, you know, they told him this because I became real good friends with Pangas later on. And he told me what happened. And he said that he told them, fuck that. They said, man, we got to jump in. You know, you're our homeboy. And he told them, I'm not your homeboy. I'm a familiano. That's it. Right? You don't have to jump in for me. Anyway, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Chino, but the hallways are the same as DBI and all that. And so when you're going down the hallway, there's a on the right hand side. If you're walking, I don't know which way you're walking. Well, if you're walking from R&R to, let's say, Birch, no, yeah, Birch, yeah, Birch, and if you're walking that way, it's on the right hand side. You have to go through a little passage. They got 2 doors, right? But the doors were open, and there's a cop there, So when they came in through there, Ernie and Pangas, the guys from the M moved on them, and right there, boom, boom, boom. But fortunately for Pangas, Ernie knocked everybody out, right? But they almost killed him. So then when that happened, the next day they said, "What happened? ¿Qué pasó? What happened to the paz of peace?" And Cheyenne told him, "Well, I tried, And so they said, "All right, cool. Wow, that's that works." So the following day when they called yard, they asked him, "Are you going to come out?" The cop asked him, and he goes, "Yeah." And the cop told him, "And you're a brave motherfucker, right?" And then he said, "A man's got to do what a man's got to do." Okay. So when he came out, Joker from Redondo Beach and Manzanas, New York, booked him. And Crackers was at the end. He was knocking guards out, you know what I mean? Like, because he was big. He's a bad dude too. I don't think he could have fucked with Ernie though, but yeah, he was pretty tough too. Crackers. Anyway, and then of course they threw him over the tier. They threw the things down. Now Tiny was down in the bottom tier. See, a lot of people believe that Tiny was NF. Tiny was never NF, never. But he hated Cheyenne, and he hated Cheyenne because Cheyenne used to bully him in Folsom, because he had come down on the same bus with Cheyenne from Folsom to Palm Hall. So he picked up one of the pieces and stabbed him 86 times. Fuck you. That's how much he hated him. He hated him a lot. And of course he got a life sentence.
Wants to know, what about the Cheyenne hit? And what about Cheyenne?
I don't know nothing about the hit. I don't know nothing about no hits. I know Cheyenne because Cheyenne was a good dude, man. His a little bit before his time, but his intentions were to organize all raza to take over all the prison system, and we would have been beasts if we were able to do that. He's only stood like 5'4", if that, I think. If I was to measure him, I think he was only about 5'4". Looked like some long-haired hippie, but other than that, he was pretty cool.
I will say this, that Cheyenne never should have been killed. That hit shouldn't have never went down. That was wrong.
Do you think his idea would have caught along with our people back then about stopping the violence, and do you think it had potential?
It had potential, yes. You got to remember that the NF and MF were one at one point. You know what I mean? And so a lot of the guys that had split off were still, around. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it had definitely had potential. He should. That hit shouldn't have went down. He was on the verge of. But I got to tell you this. Procunier, who was the director of corrections back then, wrote a paper about the Mexican American inmate population, that they must never be allowed to unite. You know what I mean? And with so many words, he was saying, encourage the split and the war between them. They cannot be allowed to unite. Because if these guys ever unite and become radical, they're going to kill cops all day long.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, of course. I didn't know the brother. I knew Woodsy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the story, all right? So this is what Sailor told me. Sailor boy, who was in got in the murder. He said that when they were in San Quentin, right? They would go out to the yard and Woodsy was, I guess, on the first tier right there, and he would yell, cuss him out, chinga tu madre, and all that shit, right? Like a South soldier. And one day, Mundo told him, one of these days, motherfucker, you know what I mean? I'm gonna kill your ass, right? Yeah, fuck you, whatever. Okay, all right. So of course, SB 42 kicked in. That's why they got out. That's why all these dudes got out. They got out. The first thing they did, let's get this motherfucker, right? So they contacted. They had there was a vato from the M that was from Bakersfield. I forgot his name. Chavo. Yeah, it was Chavo from Bakersfield. Chavo had a sister. Chavo was busted somewhere, and I think he was in the feds. But Chavo had a sister they called Cyclona. So Mundo got contact with her and asked her to find out where this dude lived, right? And she found out, and they were selling dope, big dope. Woodsy was a big time drug dealer, right? So him and his brother were selling dope, big time. So they went over there. They knocked on the door. Dude opened the door. Boom! They rushed it in, right? They rushed in, and Woodsy thought they were robbing him. And Sailor said that they told him, no. We're gonna take your motherfucking life. We're gonna take your drugs too, but we're gonna kill you. Remember we told you we were gonna kill you? We're gonna kill you. Now, there was a woman with a kid in the room, in one of the back rooms, and they told her to stay in there. Don't come out. They didn't hurt her, right? Then of course they tortured these dudes. So a couple of days, like a week or so after they got busted, I was picked up by Art Diaz. Now Art Diaz was a not the director. I mean, he was a big shot in the SSU, right? And his grandfather. I mean, his parents lived next door to my grandparents. So he was from Woodlake, from where I was from originally. So he came to Woodlake, and they fucking jacked me, right? They got me, they put me in the fucking car, handcuffed me, and they took me down the street, pulled up, and they showed me these 8x10 photos of the murders, right? Of, Woodsy was, he had they cut his head all the way to the back. He was hog-tied. He was fucked up. He was, and then he said, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen to you. And I said, shit, that is not going to happen to me. First of all, if motherfucker comes, we're going to fight right now. I am not getting hog-tied. Fuck you. You know what I mean? And he goes, well, they're going to, I said, you know what? I don't give a fuck. No. He goes, well, what if we take you to the park and drop you off? What are the fellas going to say? I don't give a fuck what the fellas say. Take me to the park. I'm not cooperating with you, man. That's it, and that's all. You want to take me to jail? Take me to jail. Whatever. But I had a really good parole agent. Really good one. And I hadn't done anything. So they couldn't justify, but he wanted to flip me, right? And I told him, no, man. So, I saw the photos. It was pretty bad, bro.
What MA member did you think was the most dangerous?
Whoo! Acha was no joke. That boy, he was a beast. And a lot of Topo talked a lot of shit, but he can back up what he says. Topo was a beast. So a lot of these immigrant guys, Sleepy's still in prison. He's been in there about 58, 59 years, And he when he was younger, he was a hitman for them. And he killed up everything come around him. Cops, he didn't give a shit. So a lot of those guys, I knew them. They know who I was, and we showed the respect. But if doors open, we knew what we had to do. Bottom line.
So you personally knew Mundo as well, huh?
I knew Mundo, not really him, but I knew him. Yeah, we were in the same prison together.
Okay.
I never ran with him or nothing like that.
I mean, how were you in Hatchet Ison? Did you ever run into him in the system?
No, but I ran into him, once or twice on a tier or something. But I knew his sister Gloria out here. They're from Hunters Point, Yeah, I knew the family and shit.
How was that? How was
shit?
Yeah, that was a little awkward there, huh? What about David Eden? Did you know him as well?
You know what, Dave? Me and Dave ran into each other, but we ran into each other out here.
Okay.
And I mean, I knew people who knew him in CMC, and motherfuckers like us never got to CMC, but I don't know how he did it, but he ended up in CMC, and so he got with the Lord. He got with the Lord and all that, and he came around a couple times to United Players. He was staying out in the East Bay somewhere. Me and him hit it off real good, And I don't know, I took a picture one time, it was about 4 or 5 of us, and they caught me looking at him like this. Motherfucker, don't get too close.
Hey, what about the Inmate? What was your experience with like the mafiosos back then?
Okay, watch this, bro. Rebel from El Loyo was my boy. In 1969, I was in the Hall of Justice jail, right? And me and him got really tight. He wasn't in the Inmate yet, but he went, right after that, he had a robbery and he went to the pen and he got in, right? But that motherfucker loved me, bro, right? A.B. Hernandez from Sacramento, right? That motherfucker, me and him ran together in the guiding center because I didn't know he was in the Inmate. But I remember everybody, looking back at it, right? Everybody used to look at me like, what the fuck, right? And I'd be like, what the fuck, what's happening, man? And then one day I'm sitting with him by the handball court and he tells me, he says, hey, you're going to get in. And I, what are you talking about, man? He goes, yeah, you're probably going to get in with a Familia. And I go, we'll see. I didn't say nothing. I just said, we'll see. But it turns out he was a mafioso. There was another dude named Eli Trevino from Modesto that I ran with at that time on the main line. He was a mafioso, right? But I knew Wito and Rob. I knew all them motherfuckers, right? All of them. You know what I mean? I had interactions with all of them. When I stabbed a dude from LA in the LA County Jail, they put me in the hole in what they call 1700s, right? 1750 at that time. They put me on the fucking tier with Joe Morgan and Champ and Blackie and this fucking pendejo, what's his name? Rene Boxer Enriquez. All them putos were there, right? And I was like scared to death, Holmes. Come on. I'm on the tier like son of a bitch, man. Right? Because one of the dudes, that dude was the brother of Cuate and Huayno, right? From
Rejeda.
From the Rana. And so, I got a lot of stories on Tati, Victor Murillo, all that. Victor was my mentor. Because when I was a kid, Victorio. But he went to the pen and got in the Inmate. So when I got out, I went to my neighborhood. I mean, I'm from Woodlake. You know what I mean? I'm not from Visalia. I'm from Woodlake, but I ran in Visalia. And I went to my homeboy's house, and my homeboy had a lot of dope, a lot. Pounds and shit, right? This is Mexico, from Mexico. And Victor was there to put the squeeze on him. That's what he was going to do. So when I get there, he goes, "Órale," and I go, "¿Qué pasó?" And I had a gun, but he had a gun too. You know what I mean? And I go, "¿Qué pasó?" And he says, "¿Qué estás haciendo aquí? What are you doing here, right?" And I go, "I live here, motherfucker. What you doing here?" Right? And he goes, "I want to talk to you, man." I go, "Well, wait a minute. I'll be right back." And when it fixed, came out, I go, "What's up?" So we went out, we went to my car, and he goes, "Look, man, I'm not going to do, no le voy a hacer, I'm not going to do them putos the favor, like in other words, kill me, right? He goes, "As long as you don't fuck with me or my homeboys, my friend, my carnales, I don't have a problem with you, right? And so I told him, look, Victor, I don't like you motherfuckers anyway, right? I'm not in no more, right? But that doesn't change that how I feel about you people, right? So as long as you don't come to fucking Wood Lake, I don't give a fuck what you do in Visalia. And then we don't have a problem. He goes, what? And that was it, right? So Tati, I don't know if you remember him. Yeah. Tati, homegirl, right? Pita. And Pita, I went to school with her in the first grade. You know? She got involved with pendejo, anyway. So one day I bump into his punk ass, right? In Visalia. And he had a knife in his back pocket, but I had a knife too, right? And I go, ¿Qué pasó? And he goes, I want to talk to you. And I go, well, talk, Holmes. What you waiting on? See, but Tati wasn't a tough guy. Tati will kill you. But he wasn't a tough guy. He'll kill you from behind. You know what I mean? But he's not going to come at you direct if there's a possibility that he's going to get hurt. He's dead now, so it don't matter, right? Anyway, he tells me the same thing, right? Hey, I'm not going to do them no favors, all that shit, right? I said, okay. Well, as long as you don't fuck with my homeboys, I don't care what you do. 2 days later, we're in the county jail, bro. And him, Choco, fucking Mike Moreno, Boo Boo, fucking Conejo, and Tati, and somebody else. There was 6 of them. They're in the fucking tank. And they put me in the same fucking tank with these motherfuckers, right? In the county jail. You think I was scared? Fuck yeah, I was scared. So I look and I go, son of a bitch, man. I'm not going to bang on the door, Holmes. You know what I mean? What the fuck am I going to do? So I got a couple of homeboys there, but they're like looking at me. And I get it. They're fucking scared, It's not their beef, right? So I'm not waiting for them to jump in for me. And these guys, they can stop me to death right now, right? Because they don't need a knife to kill me. I'm not that fucking big, There's 6 of them motherfuckers, and they're all monsters, except for Tati. He's not a fucking clown. But anyway, Tati tells me, órale. And I go, ¿Qué pasó? And he looks at me and he goes, no te paniques. And I tell him, hey, well, and if you were in my position, would you panic? And then he looked at me and he goes, yeah, I guess I would. And that was it, right? So, I had a lot of interactions with them, Topo, all them dudes, right? But, I don't know, they're not any different than us, Holmes. I don't know where this vato gets out that, that they killed a lot of us and que sabe que chingados, right? And I don't know who killed more. But what's the fucking difference, man?
People were getting killed straight up.
It's all bullshit,
yeah.
Right? It don't mean nothing. You can't go to the bank and say, hey, man, I just killed a farmero, $1,000, right? Yeah. I can't go to the bank and say, hey, man, I just stabbed this motherfucker, he's a buster. Can I get like $50,000 because I did that? They're going to call the police and put my ass in jail. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
So what made you decide to join the NF at that time?
I didn't like the idea of them having white guys stabbing Mexicans because I didn't believe in that.
You told me that some of those first killings that occurred like in 71 and 72, you told me that a lot of those were actually AB members that hate NF members, not MA members, right?
That's correct.
So that basically the MA was
that.
So
that's
the
not
MA
what I
was using.
about.
So the MA was basically using AB members to do a lot of their bidding.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah.
So who were the most influential MA members at that time?
My MA members I know are like Ache, and Joe Morgan, Peg Leg. Those are the era I go back to. That era. I go back to the 70s and the 80s with them. There's a whole bunch of them.
They had you guys separated, kind of, right?
No, we were separated, but like we were together too. Like for example, like remember I told you about uh, this guy Mundo. You got to give him his. You got to give Mundo his, man. Mundo was a hog, man. He was a soldier. He put his work in. You know, uh, what would they do? Remember I told you about how they would rotate us from prison to prison. When you catch a case in one prison, you go to the other prison.
Yeah.
The top four. That's how we got at each other. You know what I mean? It was 4A in Folsom. I couldn't remember which one it was. Anyway, it was Owing and Soledad, 4A in Folsom, Adseg in San Quentin, and K-Wing and Tracy. But and like today they have Corcoran shoe. You know how they turn Corcoran shoe. You get a shoe case, you go to Corcoran. Well, back then they would rotate us around like that. And that's how we got access at each other. And the police would pop you out for tear exercise. You know what I mean? You better be ready for tear exercise, brother. You know what I mean? You were going to you was getting busy. You know what I mean? They were going to rack your door and two of your enemies. You know what I mean? So you better be ready. You know, and that's just the way they did it. That's how we got at each other. And then me, the police hated me because I was knocking police out like it was a thing to do. I beat a cop up every other day, you know what I mean? So it was always getting tear exercise. I got a lot of tear exercise, But I learned, you can lay in your cell and be afraid all night and die. Or you can use that fear to make you angry and get busy cutting a piece and get ready. And when that door racks, you don't wait. You run. You run to the battle. It throws them off every time. You know what I mean? They're still sitting there planning how they're going to attack you. Oh my God!
Trying to build up their courage.
Yeah, you guys come running at 90 miles an hour, just.
Who was you guys' most hated enemy at that time? Or no matter where you guys were at, you guys had to go at it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. The AB2, MA and the AB, there was no real difference. It was, the MA. I remember we put 5 brothers on this one guy. This one MA drives up Lencho. His name was Lencho. He drives up to Tracy, and we're told back then that's when I was undercover, right? And they said, "Hey, we're all on red alert, man. We got an MA drove up, and everybody's on red alert." So we got like 300 brothers in Tracy, right? And I'm like, everybody's on red alert for one guy. And this guy, he tripped me out. He's walking around talking about, "Look, you guy." I mean, just really just with it. You know what I mean? He's crazy. He didn't care. He's talking back to everybody, spitting at people. Just real disrespectful. I was like, man, and everybody's like, "We're on red alert for one guy." I'm like, "Why don't we just kill him?" You know what I mean? We're all over here, paranoid of one guy. It looks like a JCAT to me. Anyway, put 5 guys on him, on the yard. 5 guys. This guy got stabbed over 105 times and lived. Because he did the cucaracha. You know what I mean? He was on his back kicking and wailing and shit, never gave up. You know what I mean? And he lived. We called it the cucaracha. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. And the 5 guys that were trying to stab him stabbed each other more than they stabbed him.
He was a worthy adversary.
Yeah, he was worthy.
So the MA was a worthy adversary.
Yeah, MA was a worthy adversary. I never knew no punk MA. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I knew some punk ABs, but I never knew no punk ABs either, except the 2 I stabbed. Yeah, the 2 I stabbed.
How did the star come into play? Where the NF started to use stars?
They never used stars. What happened was we had a hit list. Yeah, we had a hit list. On that hit list, if a person had 1 star, we wasn't worried about him. So if he had 3 stars, you got to hit him on sight. 2 stars, you got to get permission to hit him. And then for some reason, they came out with the idea of putting stars on their foreheads and try to represent how many hits they had. I got stabbed when I was a youngster in juvenile hall with a pencil, and the pencil lead stood right here in my forehead. For some reason, everybody believed it was a star for the hit that I made. And then everybody started putting a hit. Also from Soundhole started, and everybody started putting them. That's the only reason they went with that.
A lot of people want to know, and we don't happen to know, man. When did Pinky from Cucamonga start coming around?
Probably when I started teaching him how to read. Joe. Fucking Joe, man.
What year would you say, brother?
So yeah, I taught him about let me see. I met him in Palm Hall when he came through. Fucking year was that? 76, 77. And
so Tibbs was around before Pinky?
No, he wasn't around then. I didn't know Tibbs yet. But let me tell you something about fucking Pinky. So he didn't know how to read. So I give him I want him to do the 8 concepts. So he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, Jayla, can you shut the door right here, please? Hey, Mimi, can you shut it? Thank you, sweetie." Yeah, so I'd verbally have to, sit with him and teach him the concepts and everything. But so when I told him, all right, when you get inside, write them up, what we talked about. So I'm let out every morning on the tier and shit, cups out, coffee. Me and Manzanas would be on that motherfucking tier every goddamn morning. And I go by to get the assignment. And Pinky looks at me, right? And he goes, "I don't know how to read or write." I said, "When the fuck didn't you tell me that shit on the yard?" I said, "Okay." Hey, I said, "Ain't no thing, homie. I got you, man." So I taught him, I was teaching him. And I said, "Don't be embarrassed, right?" So anyway, he writes something out. The concept was something about when you leave R&R, do this, and make sure you stay on your tods. I go, "Todd, stay on your toes, right?" So he's spelling off. Oh, goddamn. So that, I swear to God, I used to yell around the chair, "Hey, Pinky, stay on your tods, boy." That guy. And he was a character. And, I don't know who cut him when he was little or young, but they cut his vocal cords, that fucked up. I mean, they mended him pretty good, but he still talk, like, he still had that little guttural sound to it, man. That's my guy right there, boy. That motherfucker, man. I clown him all the time, though, man. I clown, most of them motherfuckers like corny. Oh my God, that motherfucker. I would make motherfucker laugh so much at his expense, right? Because it was long ass arms. So I'd have that jean jacket on, and then I'd put them yard gloves like at the tips of the jacket, where his arms look extra long, and I'd walk like this. I'd say, "What's happening, corny?" And everybody would look, and they'd fucking roll, and that motherfucker get red. Ah, man, corn dog, man, that's my guy, Cornelius. That motherfucker crazy. He was killing shit when he was like 16 years old.
Man, yeah. We heard, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fucking punk from Texas. That's the first motherfucker he took care of for a motherfucker. And he was undercover. I think he was just barely being recruited at that time.
I know.
Yeah.
I met Tarzan. You know what I mean? I knew him, right? I was with him in the county jail in high power for like 3 months, right? And interacted with him every other day, right? When I went to his cell, we talked, right? That's a long time, 3 months, right? To be able to talk to somebody, and we didn't clown, we didn't play around, you know what I mean? We didn't do none of that shit. Okay, the Crackers was, I knew him too really well. I had one confrontation with him, but other than that, it was always good, right? I knew Babo really, really, really well. You know, I knew that I didn't never like Death Row Joe, but I knew him, right? I always thought he was a punk anyway, but you know, that was, I never said that, of course, right?
What about Sundown?
Oh,
Sundown.
I didn't know him, bro. I didn't know him.
Because he talks
But
about that. He talks about Payaso. He said he was there when Payaso got hit.
oh, yeah, maybe he was. I don't know. There was a bunch of people there, but I don't, you know, I don't remember him off the top of my head. You know what I mean?
You did time with Hobo, huh?
Yeah, Hobo was there. Yeah, Hobo, and Perico, Larry Saldivar. But he was a quiet motherfucker, you know, all the time too. But he was a little treacherous son of a bitch, right? He was quiet, but he was treacherous, right? Let me see who else. Big. Yeah, we were all there, bro. Everybody. Shadow, BB, Yuba, Apache, fucking the brothers from fucking, I forgot what their last names, but there was some the Carranzas. I think they were.
Gabriel?
No. I forgot their names, bro. God damn. They were from Madeira. There was like Rudy and the one that I was close to, I forgot his fucking name. Real tall.
That are gone. Macaron. You know, Macaron doesn't get a lot of credit, you know, but he was like the education lieutenant, you know.
Stockton, right?
Yeah, Stockton, Macaron from Robert Navarone from Stockton. You know, he was very, very influential in the growing because of the education. You know what I mean? You know, he was in charge of the education, and without his leadership there in the education, you know, it was a very important part. He played an important part. Fig, you know, Casper. Uh, there are guys like Casper out of Salinas, Cricket, all these guys, man. Certain guys, you know, it's like Pistol Pete, Brown Bob.
Pistol P, is that the one from Fresno?
I don't know where Pistol Pete. It was from outside of Fresno, one of them little cities outside of Fresno. Forget what those little cities are around there. Not actually from Fresno, but one of them little cities there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pistol Pete. The heck was Pablo? The hell was Pablo's last name? He was a Puerto Rican. You know what's funny is that there was like Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and whites and Indians and everything else. We had a mixture of everything, you know.
Show a lot, man, is Sundown Rick Riley, man. He calls you, he says that you're his hero, bro.
Yeah, you're his
I
big
probably
homie.
am. That's my guy.
Hey, Sundown's awesome, man. I like
That
Sundown.
motherfucker. Yeah. He loved my sister Linda.
Yeah.
And the truth comes out. That's
Sundown, motherfucker, man. But I'm gonna tell you about Sundown. See, we had to use Sundown to get all the radical bitches, right? All these Humboldt County hoes. These bitches would come to the visiting room, man, fucking hairy ass legs and hair under their armpits. But these, I'm tell you something. These are the bitches that, you know, they were revolutionaries for real, man. I mean, they'd get us all kind of guns and weapons and infiltrate shit for us. And Sundown was kind of hey, Sundown, take care of them hoes, man. I'm cool, man. That bitch needs some deodorant, but Sundown was a motherfucker.
Oh, so he was a ladies' man, huh?
Yeah, he kind of was. He was cool as fuck. I remember one time I had him tape 2 pieces of steel to his legs, right? And they come out of the chow hall or out of the bakery or from the back somewhere. So when he gets to the wing, I tell let me get them knives. And he had that fucking that fucking tape you use for that white thick ass fucking what you call that tape? Like painter's tape. Man, that motherfucker. He pulled that shit. All the hair came off. He was like, ah!
Oh shit!
Oh, shit. Sundown,
man.
So anyway, what I like about Sundown, man, he just got on when he got on, man. And I went by the cell that he was living in, and he wrote on the wall, "On the midnight train to Georgia." All right, homie. Don't worry about nothing. We got you.
Told or taught you that stays with you today?
I learned a lot from him as far as self-discipline. As far as I still get up 5 in the morning. I still wash my drawers in the shower. There's still a lot of things I do that I learned while I ran with him for 20 years. So there's a lot of things that I learned from him to think ahead. Try to have an answer before you do whatever it is you're going to do.
I'm sure you're familiar with what's going on currently. Basically how there's a split between the state and the feds. I know firsthand that you were there when Babo had his crew, and then there was another crew. Man, could you elaborate a little bit, being you as you were there, on what caused that separation?
I wasn't there, bro. I wasn't there. I had already left, but I know a little bit about it. So I'm an honest motherfucker. I'm not gonna take credit when I don't have it coming, right? What I'll tell you is this: that split began because supposedly Babo had taken some money and kept it, supposedly, right? Okay, and he had not turned it in or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so Black Bob from Gilroy, he instigated this whole thing. Now, I don't know who else was involved. There was a lot of people. So bottom line was, a lot of the old timers, the ones that had been around for a while, went with Babo, right? And then the ones that were just coming up maybe had not so many. And there was some old timers too, of course, because Black Bob was older too. He had a car. He had most of the guys from San Jose and Salinas and so on, right? But anyway, so a lot of the things what happened was Babo, because of Death Row Joe. Death Row Joe was Babo's homeboy. He was from Santa Barbara too, and because Death Row Joe flipped, right, and gave up a whole lot of shit, they were mad about that, right? But look at that time, Arthur Rock flipped, gave up all kinds of shit. Another dude named Big Bruiser from San Jose, he flipped. Nenny from San Jose flipped. I mean, over and over, there was a bunch of motherfuckers telling. I was surprised they didn't tell on me, man. I was like, what the fuck? I was sort of worried, There was a lot of people telling, bro. But, in my opinion, I don't think I was big enough for them to tell on me. You know what I mean?
Tell us a little bit about Babo and Death Row Joe.
Babo was an individual where he believed in killing them all and let God sort him out. He was a beast. He didn't care. He was originally white orientated because he lived in Santa Barbara, where he did a lot of surfing in his younger years. He ran with the surf boys, the guys that had surfboards. But once he got involved with us, he didn't have no mercy on nobody. He didn't believe in that. He believed if you're a Familia, you do it until your day you die. Bottom line, And then when you do something, you do it all the way till death. So if you're going to do something to somebody, handle your business. DR, on the other hand, DR was more of he would remind you more of a professor in a college. You know, he's the type of guy you should walk around with his arms crossed, looking at you. Um, he's always planning the next move. Dr. was
Yeah.
more of an organizer. He before he does anything, he knows what he's going to do before he does it. You know, and why.
The impeachment.
Oh, that was basically stupidity on his part because he wasn't staying on top of things. It cost him money. And the DR was taking all the money from everybody, not only the bank, but from the end of the canales too. They were using that money. He was trying to use that money for his lawyer to get out. And he figured he can do that by using the mob money.
Crackers. Well, then Crackers, you know, I see him, you know, like I see him here and there, and you know, and he's always, I mean, I remember one time he went to court, and he was shackled, bro, and the guards tried to they set him up, right, and they let out a dude from the ABs, right, and in the van, and Crackers kicked the shit out of him, bro, and nothing happened to Crackers. And, you know, I mean, he's a bad dude, and he was a bully. He was a fucking bully, all right?
What do you know about the old Bulldog split, man?
Well, Crackers got screwed over, you know, by the NF. They screwed him over, and so Crackers started pulling the Fresno car away. You know, Crackers pulled them away, and they weren't. It happened in San Quentin is where it started happening, and they weren't called the Bulldogs back then. They were called the F-14ers. You know, they called themselves the F-14ers.
Why was that?
I don't know if F-14ers. They went with that. You know,
Okay.
you know so what happened was they were told to stop kicking it with Crackers. The Fresno guys, you know, stop kicking it with Crackers and fall in line. And they said, well, we're not going to do that. No, Crackers is the homeboy, and you know, and we're not going to do that. So I went one day to the yard up there in East Block, and they thought they were going to make an example. The NF thought they were going to make an example of one of the F-14ers, the Fresno boys. But they were all together. You know, they knew it was coming. You know what I mean? And so it was like a little riot up there. You know, there was quite a bit of Fresno kids there, by the way. That day, there were quite a bit of Fresno guys. And they held their own. The shotguns were being fired all over the place. And this is what actually stopped the shotguns from being used. One of the guys on the yard that day died from a pellet in his throat from the shotguns. So that's where the shotguns got stopped.
So we'll get something more lethal.
Yeah.
Instead of,
so
you know, that freak.
Yeah.
Makes
So they
sense.
went to the Mini 14, which I would turn out to be the first one shot with it. Right? So anyway, that happened. They went out there to the yard. They got busy. Everybody got busy, and that was it. They split them. Now they start calling themselves the F-14ers. They decided to ride with Crackers, you know, and so Crackers had the F-14ers. You know, not that he wanted anybody, but he kind of like inherited them, you know, and so that's what they called themselves, the F-14ers. That was before they became the Bulldogs. Fast forward to the 80s, and all of a sudden I'm hearing about something called the Bulldogs, you know. And the reason why they were called the Bulldogs is because of the college there in Fresno. They got a football and basketball team called the Fresno Bulldogs. So they started going with that, you know. They started calling themselves Bulldogs. And but it all started with Crackers, you know. It was behind loyalty to Crackers.
So it is your opinion, though, that it was more the NF's fault than Cracker's fault, whatever situation transpired?
The whole it was Anna's fault. Yeah, they blew that one up. You know, the Vindiolas, they messed them all over. You know, and that was all mishandled, man. That was mishandled bad. You know, and so that was a well-respected family in Fresno. You know, and so a lot of the people from Fresno, they ran with the Vindiolas. You know, and then other families from Fresno started breaking off too, the Venegases and them like that. You know, so That's how the Bulldog came about.
Is Crackers as vicious as been claimed throughout history? Was he with the business like a lot of people say?
Crackers was vicious. Crackers could throw them hands. Crackers could put a knife in his hand, and Crackers was deadly.
He was the real deal.
Yeah, he was the real deal. That was my boy.
Yeah, that's what we've heard.
Yeah, that was my boy, man. And you know, for all the work that he put in, he shouldn't have got treated the way he got treated.
How'd they treat him actually? How'd that all occur?
They demoted him, you know, and then they eventually they kind of forced him out, you know, and that shouldn't have happened. Never should have happened.
Did they force him out with violence or just kind of ostracize him?
Ostracized him, and then later on it started becoming violent, you know. Try to hit him. Actually, they did send this youngster out to. They gave him some hacksaw blades to cut his bars. Crackers was a tier tender. Crackers would get drunk and he would holler up to the NF2. He'd talk crap to him, and clown him right while he's drunk. So they had a undercover down on the tier there where Crackers was, and Crackers was sweeping tier. So they sent us some hacksaw blades, and he cut the bar to a cell, right, so he could get out and get Crackers. So they sent him a piece, and he cut the bar, and he got out, and he went and he stabbed Crackers. And he stabbed Crackers really good, got him in the kidney, anyway. But Crackers had this kid, and they were screaming, Vindiola, put the piece down, Vindiola, stop, we got him, and Crackers just, you know, Crackers was like, told that kid, I forget what he said to him, something about, because my cell was right there. He said something about, you ain't no gangster. You know what I mean? And he looks
yeah,
up.
I heard. They said next time don't send a boy to do a man's job or something like that.
Yeah, he said, and he got the kid's own knife that he just stabbed Crackers with against the kid's throat. You know? And the poor kid was scared to death, right? Like, yeah, you poked the bear, you know what I mean? Now the bear's got the knife, right? And all the police yelling for Crackers to put the knife down, and Crackers looks up and he says, you owe me one, you know? And he tells the kid, you ain't no gangster. And he throws the knife like that, and the police come in and like that, right? They take him to the hospital, and they almost killed that cracker. Almost killed him. If he hadn't gotten to the hospital, you know what I mean? They were able to fix him up because like 4 days later, Crackers was out on the tier. He wanted to go back to work, so he could go out there and talk crap to him. Those Crackers, you know? He would talk crap to you in a minute, you know?
So there's your answer. Crackers was with the business, just like legend has it.
Yeah, Crackers was all that. All the Vindiolas, though. I never knew a Vindiola that wasn't vicious.
It was in their DNA.
Yeah. Spokio, Indio.
Oh, Shadow and Indio and Herman.
They were all brothers or cousins?
Yeah, they're all brothers.
Brothers.
Yeah. Even the sisters were bad. Not too bad that Herman and his sister got killed together, but but they were bad. The Vindiolas was one of those families, you know. Like I said before, there are families that have respect because of the family, you know.
What was your opinion on Crackers from Fresno and his defection?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, hold on 1 minute. My battery's going dead. Babe, give me that charger off the thing over there, please. My battery's dying.
Sorry, guys. At the beginning, I was kind of really unstable.
You guys tend to misunderstand something about Cracker. Cracker was probably the best dude you'll ever meet in the system. Thank you, baby. You will never meet anybody like him because he was. I only got like 15%. Okay. Yeah, you guys got, Crackers was a good dude. He very well respected, and he'll respect you. He'll go full force with you, but if you cross him, you're going to have problems on your hand. The boy hits like a wild bull. He can knock your teeth out with one punch. I've seen it. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. I grew up with Crackers in YA. I was in Preston with him back in the 60s. He was a good dude. I met his brothers after I came to prison and his sisters. But Crackers, he was he wouldn't go out of his way to mess with you. He gave you nothing but love and respect. And if you ever needed anything, he'd give it to you right off his back. What happened with Crackers, he got tired of doing time. He didn't care no more. Last time I talked to him, I chewed him out about
it. Talk about, man, because we both talked about him recently. Tibbs, man. What was your relationship with Tibbs? He just passed away, like I told you, bro.
Yeah, well, I seen Tibbs when he came to the pen. He caught a case out of San Jose, and Jimmy Murata. We called him Jimmy Purple. I don't know what the fuck got into him, but he named himself Tiberius one day or some funny shit. What the fuck you talking about? Anyway, that was like a going thing with me and that cat. But I had a lot of love for that dude. I think he came in about 68 or 69. And yeah, me and him were cellies in Soledad for a minute. And I think San Quentin maybe later on. I can't really remember. But yeah, Tibbs, man, that was a hell of a dude, boy. He was a sharp motherfucker. When we were cellies, matter of fact, in Soledad, we were in the hole in O-Wing. And he would sleep on the floor. You ain't got no top and bottom. Usually just one bunk. They took the other bunks out because we cut them motherfuckers off the wall anyway and make fucking knives out of all that shit. But what happened one time was I'm on the bed and he's on the ground asleep or some shit, and he started shaking me. Right, Frank. I said, motherfucker, my name ain't Frank. Fuck wrong with you? But he would have flashbacks, Vietnam shit or something. Anyway, but all kind of, there's so many little stories about this guy, man.
Hey,
a lot of love for all them cats, man.
Tibbs, James Morado. Jimmy Morado. I remember Tibbs when he first came to prison. He was a radical kind of guy, very intelligent. And he used to rob banks, and of course he was a murderer. But what I liked about him, what me and him kicked it on, was the bank robberies, because I used to love to rob banks. And what's funny about Tibbs, he used to brag about that he did bank robberies with his daughter. His daughter was like 2 years old, and he would leave her in the car while he ran in and did the bank robbery and come out. And he said, because nobody's going to be looking for a bank robber with a little 2-year-old girl, It actually made kind of sense. That I used to think, man, that's kind of crazy, But he was smart. I like Jimmy. We became friends. We could see that he was potential. I raised my hand for him. Quite a few people raised their hands for him. Everybody liked Tibbs. Tibbs was sharp, man. I remember in Soledad, when he made his bones. He was out there. I was there, and him and Hobo. It was him and Hobo, and I forget the other two guys, but they went out to the yards, and they were all on 4 yards, and they got off all at one time. And that might have been the day that Jimmy was getting shot with the shotguns. But they put work in, They went out there on them yards. The Sureños, mainly there were Sureños out there on them yards, a lot of Sureños. And they were not ready for some real NFs to drive up. And Hobo and Tibbs, and I forget who the other two guys were that went out. But anyway, so all 4 yards rocked that day. They were getting off. Jimmy got off. Tibbs got off. He was in. That was his bloodletting, and he was in already, but that was his bloodletting.
That's when he got his first kill.
Yeah, Tibbs was a good dude, man. I got nothing. We'll never have nothing bad to say about Tibbs. When it came time for the peace, he was in charge, and it was easy to make him and Pinky actually. And that's another one. Pinky is a good guy. He was actually under me when I was a squad leader. These were good guys. These were die-hard brothers, man. It's like I said in my book. I said in my book when I don't know who's read my book, but that when they told them hey, thanks a lot. See you guys later. Hold these guys in respect, but there's no more. I said then in my book, hey, if you guys think these guys are going to say thank you for your service and we hold you in respect, and that's it, you guys are crazy. There's no way these brothers are going to lay down. They're going to go get work in. They're going to put work in, and now you see what you got. You know, it's taken off. They got 16 yards in the feds. You know, and if you've seen pictures inside there, them guys are spreading like wildfire. You know, and I told that's like I said in my book. You guys are crazy if you think they're gonna just lay down. No,
Yeah,
they'll
not
never.
a chance.
Yeah, you'll never lay down. Not Tibbs.
Yeah, you raised your hand for Tibbs, and
Yeah.
20 years later, Tibbs raised his hand for me. So.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we were all together because we all grew up together from California Youth Authority, and you know, from LA to the Bay was all connected. It was all Que Viva la Raza, Revolution, Black Panther Party, Brown Berets, and we were all on these streets in our own little gangs and everything else, from street corner to fucking one neighborhood to the next, fighting each other, but then barbecuing and having a good time with each other. And by the time we ended up in prison, we all knew each other. I mean, you know, I was as tight as I was with my own, you know, homeboys from the city as I was with guys out of Compton, Echo Park, San Diego. It didn't matter, you know, because we all came up in similar circumstances, you know, with our house parties, with our oldies, man. It's just a matter of you know, we had a lot of love and respect for each other, everyone. It was great. Yeah. Shit happened. Yeah. Well, you know, there's a lot of give and take like that because of, you know, the revolutionary culture. And I would say that we came up, you know, every neighborhood had their, like, the guys who got in some shit that everyone raised the power to, you know? Like for our city, it was you know, que viva la raza, que viva los siete de la raza, for killing the cop, and for ended up getting caught up like that. The Brown Berets over in Union City and Hayward when they killed the police chief because one of their own got killed. Fucking Logan Heights when they had that shit over there, and I think they had a park down there called La Raza Park or something like that. But all these neighborhoods come up in similar types of situations. You know, Ruben Salazar, who was killed with a fucking a tear gas grenade, was shot in the head with it, died. Just, you know, people protesting because of Kent State and all these universities and fucking police tearing shit up. So we all you know, with the grassroots kind of thing coming up. And then of course in our city, you know, all these hippies from around the world start coming through, all these white people coming into Haight-Ashbury. And we're talking about, you know, people who are coming in, not even from San Francisco, people with a lot of money, these rich white people, and they start migrating into Castro District. And Eureka Valley, Castro District, that was all black and brown and white and Italian. You know, no such thing as any, you know, gay folks and none of that shit. That shit came from out of town, man. We didn't know nothing about that. So we'd end up going down to motherfucking, we'd go to Haight-Ashbury and shit like we were tourists. And that's our neighborhood, you know? But shit started changing like that, man. And like I say, man, it was just so much of the accumulation of so much stuff, man. I mean, you know, some beautiful cultural shit, though. You know?
Yeah.
And that's one thing about La Raza, about heritage, about revolution, about Mexico and Latin America, about Africa, and all these roots that come together for our own, you know, for our own benefit and well-being. And that's just something that we all studied on, you know. And coming up in the prison system, we all studied Chairman Mao. We all studied Little Red Book, you know, fucking Che Guevara and the revolution in fucking Cuba. And, you know, we had our own bylaws and ways of doing shit. We just had you know, we just come up different, man, than other motherfuckers who came up like 10, 15 years later. We were just a different breed. We was on a different page. well, let's say it like this: we was cut from a different cloth than a whole bunch of motherfuckers, right?
Right.
Yeah, so like basically a different time frame. Back then, it was like you had to do what you had to do to survive, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really was, you know. But our thing about survival was always against the police and making change within the prison system. And you know, this is something that people didn't quite understand, because we weren't allowed televisions, we weren't allowed personal clothing. Our haircut had to be cut above your ear and behind your neck. You couldn't have a mustache. And I'm talking about throughout the system, 70, 71, 70. So what we had to do, a manifest was written through and went through 4 major prisons: San Quentin, Folsom, DVI, and Soledad. And we tear that, or we're going to give into our demands. So we actually burned, flooded, fucked shit up. I mean, we tore these prisons up, man. And then at the same time, understand, Comrade George and them, they threw a pig off the tier in Soledad because they killed one of the Soledad brothers down there. And he ends up catching the life case and then, being murdered in San Quentin. That was 1971. Shit, I remember exactly where I was in F-Wing at the time. Shit, man, I'm serious, man. It was just, so all these things is an accumulation of history, of so much stuff, man. Matter of fact, I went to Oakland couple of weeks ago for the Black August event, and I seen a whole gang of motherfuckers I knew, right, from way back when. But it was cool, and a lot of the guys from down south, a lot of the Mexican brothers who became Mexican Mafia or whatever, they all know about that stuff, because like I said, we all came up together. So it was all a thing of respect,
So I mean, what wasn't that kind of weird back then? Like you grew up with these guys, and now you guys are considered enemies. Was that kind of hard for a while, or was there still that mutual respect back then?
It was still respect, man. But it's like this, man. You catch a lot of funk because a lot of guys from LA and up north and everywhere, they didn't like a certain group of people who've been around a long time, and yet I knew so many of them.
Yeah.
You ain't got to name names and shit, but dudes from LA were getting their shit fucked over. Dudes from up north getting their shit fucked over. Nobody said, yeah, fuck them North Daniels or Sudanos. That wasn't even no motherfucking word,
Right.
That had nothing to do with anything. But we kind of backed each other up. It didn't matter where you were from. If somebody fucked you over, man, we're going to go get your watch back, or we'll go kick that door in, and, we'll make sure, you get your shit back. Because, dudes shouldn't have did that to you or whatever. So, everyone always looks out for each other.
In here.
Yeah, but, and it's a trip, man. It's just like, man, so much shit, man. I mean, there's so many stories, and there's so many ins and outs, and what so many individuals is. I mean, shit, I can name motherfuckers from fucking A to Z and what they did when they did it, but I'm not into all that shit, man. It's just a matter of
you went in with a 6-month sentence, right?
6 months to 5 years for felony joyriding.
For felony joyriding, right? And you did 48 years.
Yeah. Felony joyriding was 6 months, 5 years. Car theft was 1 year and 5 years.
Yeah.
I got 6 months to 5 years. I would have been out in 18 months, but I picked up a case, so they kind of put it off a little bit. By the time I got to DVI, that's where I picked up my first murder, and I ended up doing 48 years.
When was the first North Daniels? What was that all about? What year was that exactly? Because we don't have the exact year. We always get it mixed up.
Fuck. That's hard to say, man. I think that maybe 79, 80, and yeah, there were so many, guys coming in from the streets at that time too. And motherfuckers from a clique called Vickystown came up from LA, and they settled in San Jose and in Stockton. And these dudes were all from down south. And there was a lot of dudes that came up from down south, like a lot of Bisons, a lot of dudes from South America, dudes from Central America, El Salvador, coming into San Francisco. So we would encourage all the homeboys, make sure you embrace these dudes and get them on your side. But motherfuckers on the street, they couldn't do that because they didn't have the mindset we had. We wanted to make sure that you don't create enemies, you utilize these dudes right? But it just didn't happen that way. And that's, you know, so a lot of conflict and shit came up through that way, you know. And it was early years, like, you know, I don't know when you guys ended up going to the pins.
What are your thoughts about the split between norteños and sureños?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't pay attention to that no more. I don't agree with it because we're all raza, and there's some real good dudes from both sides. I mean, but everybody wants to be a leader. That's why there's so many different gangs today. You know, there's new gangs from down south. There's new gangs down this way. You know, but and so if a person drops out tomorrow, next day he'll have his own gang. You know. And it all depends who they are. I don't agree with the North and South. I never did, because that's not what the Familianos are all about. But that they built that, they made that, that was their decision. They have to live with that. I think personally that they should have came together a long time.
Hold up just a second. I see this question that says, how do I feel about the end of hostilities? Let me tell you something, man. From day one, we tried to end hostilities. And that's, I'm fucking telling you the real. And the reason is because when we were all together coming up, we ran the institutions. All of us as a unit. When we spread on the yard, there was, you fucking see 600, well, let me put it another way. There'd be at least 300 Mexicans having a spread at the same fucking time from all over California. That's just how it was. We'd bring entertainment in. We'd do all kind of shit. Everything was, I mean, we'd go to gym to watch movies. Every fucking thing. I mean, we was all tight. We were tight as frog pussy, and that's waterproof. So you know that's tight. I mean, this was just something else. So anytime we thought there could be a possibility to end any kind of conflict or anything, we all agreed that that would be in the best interest of us. But you always had some infiltrators, some snitches, some motherfuckers telling on what we and them other cats are going to do, because we were always trying to combine forces in one way or another to get back on the main lines to do our fucking dirt.
I was there when the first thing, that North and South thing happened. I heard Hobo the other day say, well, you know, he said, well, it happened like 79. No, it happened in the summer of 1973. That's when it happened. And I can tell you the story if you guys want to hear the story.
Sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay. What happened was there was like Hobo alluded to this too. At that time, back then, we were all being raised together, bro. We were all raised, whether you were from LA, San Diego, Chino, wherever, and San Jose and in San Francisco and whatever. And we were all being raised together because we would end up in youth authority and all those places as youngsters. And we developed friendships because we were the same, bro. We were the same, especially the guys from Maravilla. They like, you know, I used to tell them, hey, Holmes, you like all these goodies? Hell yeah. Yeah, you like Corona. Well, we didn't have Corona back then, but you like fine bitches. Hell yeah. You know, you like, you know, rancheras. Que bárbaro. Okay, we do too. You know, we like them too. So we're the same. We used to say that back in the day, right? Except, of course, then all that happened. So anyway, in the summer of 1973, there was a guy named Spider from Wilmas. He was a nut, bro. Motherfucker was crazy. You know, he was a mental case. And he came to DVI and he went straight to the hole. So he was in the first tier, right, in K-Wings. And Sharky from Salinas, I never knew Sharky. I never met him personally, but he was a carnal. He was an NF guy. You know, I was in the NF, but you know, at the time I had just got in, right? So I didn't.
Filipino Sharky?
I don't know if he was Filipino or not, right? But he was, you know, he was at that time, right? He was, I don't remember, you know, because I never met him personally. He was in the hole, I was in the main line, right? But nevertheless, I knew of him, you know, I knew who he was by name, not by characteristics and all that, demographics or ethnicity, whatever. Okay, so what happened was, you know, they knew, Sharky and Spider knew each other. They had been in youth authority together. And so they were on, he was on the tier, Spider was on the tier, and they were talking, they were squatted down, and they were talking, and this is secondhand information, right? What is fact is that he killed Sharky. Spider killed him through the bars. Boom, he offered him a cigarette, and you know, Sharky went for the cigarette, and homeboy hit him, pow, and he got him in the heart and killed him. Okay. Now, Pato, who was Sharky's older brother, was on the main line, and he panicked. He panicked, and so he got 3 or 4 dudes that were from, you know, Los Angeles somewhere, you know what I mean? And they attacked Pablito from Fresno and Baby Goose from Gilroy, right? Pablito had been hit at Sierra by a guy named Gus Rivera, a mafioso, right? And he had paralyzed the dude from part of his body, right? So he walked with a cane, and he called him Pablito because he was small and he was paralyzed on top of that, right? Baby Goose, they called him Baby Goose because he was the baby of the NF. He was just 18 years old. He had birth, or 19 maybe, just turned 19, right? And they had been walking down the corridor. And have you been to DVI?
Yeah.
Okay, so you too, Rojo?
See, yes.
Okay. So then, you know, right there in control, when you make the turn to go to the yard, right by where the laundry is, they moved on these vatos, Pato and them, moved on Baby Goose and Sharky. I mean, and Pablito. It was a PC move. They didn't hurt nobody. But, you know, the cops were there. They hit it, boom, 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 and, you know, they locked them up, right? That was on a Thursday. The following day, the NN said, oh, okay, motherfuckers. They said, you want to play that shit? So the following day, anybody that was associated with those guys got hit. So they hit like 6 guys. They didn't kill them. They just, like, you know, they just hurt them. You know what I mean? They wasn't really, I don't think they were trying to kill them. I wasn't I wasn't on the yard at the time. I was working, and I was in a trade. I was doing the shoe repair, you know what I mean, for the Bonnaroo's and shit to make money. Anyway, so the next day was a Saturday after the hit. And you got to remember that back then, they didn't lock us up, bro. They could kill 3 or 4 motherfuckers in one day. It don't matter. Pick up the body. Let's go program. Let's go resume whatever. Okay. Oh, man. All right. Hold on. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I just had a call. That's why. That's from a dude that just dropped out of the NF. Anyway, well, last year. Anyway, so what happened was, what happened, bro? Oh yeah, I was excited because I was gonna get a visit, and at that time they used to bring in, you know, a lot of outside shows. You know what I mean? And you know, they always brought them brides that used to dance and shit, right? In the little fucking short skirts, and you know, they were usually big old piernudas, you know what I mean? And we would be like, you know, hot dog, you know, in the gym, right? They would set the stage and all that. And I was going to get a visit. I was going to get some dope. So the Saturday morning, I was going to we went to Chow. And back then, people were going back from Chow and we were going to Chow, you know? So it was like this, the traffic, you know what I mean? Crisscrossing each other. And so I was in C Wing, and I waited up on Shadow from Fresno, Crackers' brother, and I said to go to Chow. So we were going to Chow, and he told me, hey, mucho cuidado, you know, be careful, you know, there's a lot of shit going on right now, right? You know, me, young, stupid. Nah, I wasn't stupid, just like egotistical, I guess. I told him, man, fuck that shit. This is our fucking penitentiary. What the fuck? You know? And I had just come from Folsom, bro. So, you know, I had stabbed him. So I was like, fuck, what the fuck are they gonna do to me here, right?
Yeah.
Like they didn't get to do it in fucking Folsom, right? Anyway, so at that moment they cut Shadow. He goes into the other chow hall. I go into one chow hall, and I eat breakfast and I come out, and then I'm walking back to the unit to get ready for my visit, and I run into this dude they called Cuervo from Pico Viejo. Now I knew Cuervo, he wasn't an enemy, he wasn't a friend, but he was a guy that we played handball against. You know what I mean? So I knew him. So as I'm walking, I'm down from the chow hall towards control. He's walking, and I should have paid attention. I didn't pay attention, but he was real pale. They called him Cuervo because he's dark, right? But he was pale. I know that I realized it later, but I didn't at the time. I was too excited, too distracted by, the gonna get heroin and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
So he stopped me as I passed. He goes, "Hey, Holmes." I go, "¿Qué pasó?" And he said, "Were you on the yard yesterday when they hit them dudes?" And I said, "Nah." And then me being stupid, I told him, who was it? And he told me who they were. And I go, "Esa pinche bola de putos." That's what I said, right? They were his friends, right? So to him, they were putos. Now, what I didn't know at the time was that as soon as he got back to J-Wing, they were going to kill him. Now, he was going to get killed, that one, because he was instrumental in a lot of shit that was going on. But, you're on a need-to-know basis, and they don't tell you everything,
Right.
So I'm walking, and there's a dude named Chato from Stockton. He just died a couple of years ago. He used to, I used to clown him, "Órale, puto," like that, coming on the yard, on the corridor. But for some reason, I kept my eye on this dude peripherally, right? And when I'm talking to this dude, this motherfucker, he comes up with a fucking piece. He's going for my neck, Holmes. And so I hit, what? Boom, 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 boom. The next thing I know, we're against the wall. There's blood on the wall. And I'm thinking, what the fuck, this motherfucker? Did he stab me? Because I couldn't tell, right? And the cop is yelling, "Where are you from?" I don't know what the fuck he's asking. What, like, what are you talking? You know what I mean? I never heard that from a cop. He goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "What are you talking about, man?" He goes, "Are you from Northern California or Southern California?" I said, "Northern California." He said, "That's what I thought." Oh. And so they locked us up, right? But he took the blame, and he told them that he had done that because that he was going to get killed. And basically he just, like a PC move, I guess, right? He didn't say that, but that's what he did, right?
Yeah.
Like he picked on me because I walk with a limp, and I guess he thought he could whip me. I don't know what the fuck he thought, but that's cool. He didn't do nothing. And so there, I never heard anything more about North-South, you know what I mean? But now remember, that happened like in August of 73. So in November, they lock us all up, bro. All of us, everybody. I have never in my life seen so many cops ever. There was like 50 fucking COs and 10 captains, and I don't know how many fucking lieutenants and sergeants. There was probably 100 cops in each fucking unit, right? I swear to God. And they were lined up shoulder to shoulder in the middle, that 2 orange red lines or whatever, all the way. Right? Like, what the fuck? And so they just said, okay. And anybody that was black, they were in trouble, bro, because of the BGF killed them, the cop, right? And so everybody that was black, that was anybody, whatever, even a suspicion, I seen a dude named, they call him Squadubi. They pulled his ass out and they beat him down and took him out. I never seen that motherfucker again. I don't know what they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're serious, bro.